I'm here. Oh my goodness, technology could not pull me back from all y'all. So I am so excited to be back here and joining you. Had some time away with my family. A much deserved little break. And you know what? Honestly, I'll be honest. The whole week we were gone, we slept in, except for the 2 days that I chose to get up at 6 to go watch the sunrise and do a little meditation on the beach. But other than that, we slept in, which I so needed. And one of the things that I did that was pretty, I'm so proud of myself for doing, is that I really tapped out. I only posted on to my Instagram stories, and that was it, my friends. I didn't respond to emails, text messages, phone calls, any of it. It just felt really good. And I hope that whenever you go on vacation or take some time away to be with your family or loved ones, that you can really, truly just tap out. I told my husband, I said, I was inspired by this last weekend. I said, you know what? I think the next time we go on vacation, now tell me if I'm speaking insane or what, that I think we should just leave our phones at home. I know some of you are like, right? I said I'd even get my old camera out, my old fancy camera out, and we roll it, throw it, old school. Maybe we can bring back old school stuff. Who would do that? I am telling you, I feel like a part of me that just wants to go back to like growing up. We had like some walkie talkies. That was super fun. Like, can we just throw up old school for a little bit and just detach from technology? That sounds really juicy. Anywho, great to be back with all of you. Joining us. As you join us, please let me know that you're here. Let me put down in the chat where you're coming from. We're going to be talking about some silent but super deadly killers to business. Okay. And some of you might be like, what is that? We just did some recent survey. Some of you that are on our mailing list might have been notified about it. And something really interesting that came about some of those analytics that we took a look at is that entrepreneurs, women business owners, one of the biggest challenges to business success is ourselves. I've said this before, where we can teach skills. We can teach how you do X, Y, Z. We can, skills can be taught. But when it comes to our mindset and how we view the world and how we view situations and how we beat ourselves up, or all of the, I talk like a lot about the top 5 blocks, whether that's limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, negative thoughts, being stuck in fear and overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Any of those and more, and each of those have its own little, little offshoots from that, is that we can actually really have a direct impact on our business. And we're going to be unpacking some of those things, because oftentimes the conversation, I'm going to back up for a second. When we go to conferences, when we go to events, it's easy for people to say that there's a challenge or there's a limitation when it comes to a skill set, where you might be saying, you know what, there's not enough that I don't, if you're talking to an event that you're in, and we're talking about, like, let's say LinkedIn, and there's different things. LinkedIn is always growing, expanding. Same is true for all these other technologies. But if there's some new, what's on LinkedIn? It's it's kind of like the stories for LinkedIn. You can do videos. I don't know the name of it. Anyways, but if I want to learn something like that, it's easy for me to raise my hand and say, I have challenges with understanding the steps. Today, I was on my phone call with my staff, and I said, I don't know how to actually, Google and me are just, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but like Google and I just, we're trying to become on friend terms. But it's not a user-friendly model for me. I don't know why it is. Anyways, so I was like, I don't know even how to like respond to my reviews. And so I was going in, and she was like teaching me, right? You go do this, you go teach A, B, and C. I'm like, great. great, I got it. I wrote down the steps. Now I can do it, and I can, right? It's easy to learn those skill sets, and it's easy to admit when you don't know. It's easy to admit when you don't know something. But when it comes to mindset, it is. I am telling you, it is the craziest experience. And even with friends of mine that are in different businesses and different industries, they're like, Terry, it's amazing what happens, because you really are talking about this like silent killer that we're all aware of, yet we don't want to actually admit it. We don't actually want to call ourselves out for it. And oftentimes we don't. And that's why it becomes a silent killer, is that because we're not willing to put it out there and say, I don't know. We're not willing to put out there and say, I need support. I need help. I need to figure this out. And a lot of times it can be unconscious, but most of the time it's because we have this ego, and this ego is saying, well, you have to know everything and you have to figure it out yourself. And yes, to entrepreneurship, there's a lot of figuring things out until we create either the resources or the team or whatever to grow, our businesses. And so I thought it'd be interesting. I was going through these cards the other day, and I have stacks and stacks and stacks of these cards, and I kind of took a combination of different ones through over the years. I mean, I've done these cards over the years for probably the last 7 or 8 years. And what's so interesting is that because it's silent, and we don't want to admit, we don't want to call ourselves out, it has power. It has power. It has power over our business. It has power over our lives, our livelihood. And so I'm going to go through some of these. And I'm not obviously reading any names, and they're completely 100% anonymous. And these are from, over the last 7 years, maybe even longer. It's probably 9, probably closer to 9, actually. And so these are high achieving, dynamic, powerful women that are like you and I, that have struggles. We all have struggles from time to time, and so the things that the silent killers that is killing our business, that's killing sometimes our relationships, sometimes our partnerships, our collaborations, is the internal thought process. Is that what are we feeding our minds? What is this? How are we approaching things? How are we looking at things? And all the filters that we have, and all the years of programming, right? And all the neural pathways that we've created over time and reinforced and held to be true. And we're experiencing our life through that. Now, as I've shared before, is that we've had this moment in the last 3 to 4 years where we are now being pushed to look at that stuff. We are looking at, how do we change it, transform it, transmute it, right? And I'm laughing because someone asked me the other day, like, well, how do we get rid of it? And I just kind of like, I think it was in my Lyft driver like conversation. And I was like, well, oh my gosh, like we have a magic, there's a magic, vacuum cleaner that sucks it all up. And then, it's a magical vacuum cleaner. And it transforms all of the stuff that we don't like into magic fairy dust, and it brings it back into planet Earth. And that's how we, ascend. And I'm kidding. But these are the things that is really hampering our ability to grow, our ability to expand, our ability to collaborate, to connect, to whatever it is, to be seen, to be heard, is usually the biggest barriers and challenges that these things have an impact on our lives. Self-worth, questioning myself, not feeling good enough, always finding reasons why I'm not good enough. And so if we're in that constant tracking, the constant evidence finding, we're going to find it. I'm telling you, folks, we're just going to find it. It's just truth, right? Being worthy of success, embracing who I am and sharing my gifts, doing, quotes, the things like writing my book, speaking on stages. I'm ashamed of being a part of a direct sales company, and that's the source of my income. So, sometimes with direct sales, there comes a lot of like, not shame or guilt, but there's this, I guess on the other end of it, because I fully support lots of direct sales companies. I, I, I support at least, well, one, two on a monthly basis, actually three. I love them, right? And so there's like no, like I'm like, yeah, this is good. But I think they've gotten bad raps over the years, just like car salesmen, like they've gotten bad raps over the years. I know a lot of great ones, but the ones that have had an impact kind of taints it all. So can you imagine like how you have a you or your company is a direct sales company, and yet you feel that you have all this shame and guilt around your company. Can you imagine how that can impact your business and your business growth, right? Strictly from an energetic perspective, right? Um, limiting beliefs about money. And I couldn't tell you how many times I ran through this card multiple times, like just the fear around money, the restriction of money, the limitation around money. All of this has a direct impact on our business and our ability to leverage it, right? The negative stories that are just constantly on repeat. I'm not worthy enough. I have to be perfect to be loved. I'm not good enough. I'm only valued for my physical presentation, being self-sabotage and procrastination, like just getting completely stuck in the overwhelm, not allowing myself to be supported because I have to be, quote, perfect, right? Again, these are the silent killers that we're talking about. Understanding my why, right? Like not even like just getting stuck in not the follow through, not understanding what is having that clarity of not following through, and really assessing that has come up quite a bit, because what the pandemic has done in a lot of ways is forced us to look at and evaluate how we spend our time, how we're spending our energy, how are we spending our resources. And so a lot of people are in this like uncertainty, because they're like in their heart of hearts, they know they're supposed to be doing something different or contributing in a different way, but they're like, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? And so it's, as humans, we've gotten away with practicing patience. And I've talked about this before. I'm one of them, right? But really just allowing that to come forth. And so there's like this like pressure. It's like, I got to know yesterday. I got to know 5 days ago. And so we're actually blocking ourselves and having that clarity and that awareness, simply by the way we're showing up, right? Fear, perfectionism, negative thoughts. Are you guys seeing patterns here? Procrastination, the fear of starting my own new business, meeting people, creating connections, just walking into my business, believing that I am a leader, that I have all that I need to be successful, right? Being okay with myself and existing, heavy trauma that I feel heavily on every day. Feel heavily on a daily basis. Depression, anxiety, panic attacks, feeling that I will never be able to succeed. Okay? See how all these are the silent but deadly. The imposter syndrome, feeling burnt out, not smart enough, not strong enough, feeling like I'm always in a freeze mode. Being stuck in the fear of failure. So as I make progress or have a breakthrough, I feel a desire to stop planning and not acting as much. And then always coming up with this imposter syndrome situation, because I freeze and not move, and I'm not able to move through it and find myself moving slowly. Asking for help. I can do it myself. I struggled on a lot, because I was like, well, if I'm going to get this done the right way, I got to do it myself, right? The fear of money, not achieving my desires, um, thinking negatively, and not having the faith in myself to stand up, not only for myself, but to myself, right? Like, anyone have been caught in that where you're like, I know I should be doing this, and then you're getting caught in this, shoulda, oughta, woulda, shoulda, oughta, coulda, woulda, and you're beating yourself up. Not being able to protect our own time and our personal space and our boundaries, not being able to say no, thinking that I can do it all. And I think that's what the recipe is for disaster, when we start to say yes to everything, um, and negate our personal boundaries, negate our personal health, negate the what's really important to us, including family relationships, significant others, um, and then just having the time to do self-care, growing leaders on my team, finding future leaders, and just simply having enough. So all of these things, again, continuing to go into the not good enough. I mean, that's a huge one. I mean, our belief systems, and whatever way we're looking at the world, whatever those goggles are that we're looking through the world through, will paint the picture and will also contribute to what is showing up. And so what I focus on expands. And so the more that I focus on the lack, the more that I focus on the difficulty, the more that I focus on all of the challenges, we actually create more of that. Years and years ago, I was at an event, and they had us do this exercise. And I kind of forget, I'll share enough to where it can get us through this. But they had two of us. And it was really fascinating because we would hold hands, and I forget how we did that. I think we just held hands like this. So two people holding hands, and they had the individual looking at the hands, focusing on the knot, focusing on the problem, if you will. And they had it focus, and then they're saying, okay, I want you to walk through it, okay? And the individual could not break the grip between the two people. They just couldn't walk through it. It was really fascinating is when they took their mind and moved it from the problem, and I think they just had them look up and to the right, if I remember correctly. And so they took away from the problem, away from the focus. And as soon as they took their focus away from that, the individual, and nothing else changed, the individuals were able to walk through and break open the hands that were being held by. And I think it oftentimes, and when we're focusing on all of the negative, all of the doom and gloom, right now we're in this interesting time where, the prices on everything is skyrocketing. The cost of living is skyrocketing. The inflation is skyrocketing. Like, pretty much everything around us from a financial standpoint is skyrocketing now. I'm sure that you can find some examples of things coming down, but it's kind of few and far between. And so everybody is starting to feel the squeeze. And it's hard to not look at the problem when the problem is right here in front of us and we're living in on a daily basis. And what if I can invite you to look at a different perspective of it, and looking at, okay, what is it that we can do to contribute to a solution? How can we look at something differently? How can we find and problem solve? And it's amazing how, just, I don't know, I'm giving this example, but just recently, a friend of mine was like, yeah, it's too expensive to, feed a family of 4. So we're getting creative, and we are now, gardening. We're actually, doing these other things and looking at the solution instead of getting trapped into the problem. Because when we start to look at the solution, when we start to look into the possibilities that exist, because oftentimes, and I don't have a pin down here, but oftentimes we think X equals Y. And really, X equals 1,000 different, maybe 100,000 different possibilities out there. And so when we get trapped by that one reality, that one thing, it limits our ability to be expansive. It limits our ability to create. It limits our ability to become really creative. I've shared on here before that, one of the things that I do like, and that I did not like this at first. I was pretty defiant at first for many, many years. But one of the things that I don't mind anymore is when I hear the word no. Because for me, that is a trigger word now. And that trigger word is not a negative thing. That trigger word is a positive thing. I have flipped it into a positive thing because that what tells me now is like, I got to get creative. And that's okay. I like being creative. That means I go back to the drawing board of like, okay, how do we create something new? How do we problem solve this? How do we how do we actually start to create, if you will, something that we never even could have even imagined, right? And so for me, that trigger word is a door opener, not a door closer. And so it just is like, okay, I clearly was not that creative to begin with. Like, let's resurface this. Like, clearly, we're now tapping back into this new possibility, and it's allowing me to go back to the drawing board. And there's something pretty um, remarkable when you put pen to paper and you put it in with the intentions that you're going to be able to create and generate something new. And that's, if you think about it, that's what all innovations have come from. And we're being faced with this incredible time right now. And every single one of us on this planet, okay, is feeling it. We are absolutely feeling it. We're feeling the squeeze. We're feeling the world being shaken awake. We feel things moving at a speed that we've never seen before. We, and I've shared this with you all recently that there's been some stuff that has been topsy turvy in my life, and it's growing me obviously as an individual, as a leader, as an owner, as a mom, as a as a spouse. And one thing that I know to be true, two things that I know to be true is that we are here to evolve. We're here to evolve. We're not here to be same after year after year after year. And two is that what's the great quote that the only thing consistent is change, right? And so we're just experiencing change at a level we've never experienced before. And so if you've not liked change, if you've not like or don't enjoy change, this is the time that everyone's like, ah! Right? And if you've worked that muscle for some time, and even if you are like a master at that muscle, it still doesn't take away that there's this massive changes that are happening and occurring on all levels, on all realities. It feels like, and it's really allowing us to take a look in the mirror and reassess and look at how is this serving us, what is it serving us, and it's always again like this time of growth for us. And so I'm going to invite you as you are journeying through your own journey is looking at the silent killers that are impacting your business and your relationships. Are there some that I read off maybe that are like, yep, that's me, yep, that's true. I'm going to invite you to take a look at that because there are simple solutions and mindset hacks that you can be creating to shift that. You do not have to stay in that. And it doesn't matter the level of trauma. It doesn't matter the level of I just say trauma. I was a trauma therapist specialist for 27 years. I was interviewing someone today, and we were talking about like I never think anything can surprise me anymore, but then I'm like, and then something does, and you're like, but I've been around that. I understand that how the brain gets impacted, and those trauma filters, if you will, are with us for the rest of our lives. It's not like we, flip a switch and be like, oh, trauma gone. Now there are techniques and there's tools to eliminate and to allow us to create new neural pathways and really, truly help reprogram the brain to help us through that. But the memory of that will never be gone. It just won't. There's no, not that I know of, Men in Black, unless AI figures it out, like the little Men in Black, like you have no memory, right? And so I'm going to invite us that if you notice some of these silent but deadly influences in your business, take note of it. The faster you become aware of it, the faster you can do something about it, the faster you can either get support, work on clearing it out, or, connecting with us. I love, love, love. I always do we'll be doing another group starting in August, end of August. We'll start another 6-week intensive that I actually unpack, and I give you all the juicy tools. I give you all of the resources for you to truly be successful and you creating it yourself. Because ultimately, I love helping people create that magic wand for themselves. And how do you have that so that you can go create and generate and duplicate it again and again and again? And when you have the success formula, it's very duplicatable. And you can just create, whether you change jobs, whether you change careers, whether you change businesses, whether you change relationships, when you really, change whatever, these are some tools that you can keep with you again and again and again and again. So if you're interested, reach out to us. Connect with me, because I'd love to have you come and join us for that 6-week intensive where we can really unpack and give you the tools and also the clearings so that you can do it for yourself. It's very powerful. When I was a therapist back in the day, is that, that is something that we didn't actually voluntarily give to people, because it was like, oh, they come to us to get the help, to get the support, right? But at some level, like, you can do it yourself. And that's really pretty remarkable. And at this point in my life where my desire is to have a bigger impact. It's like, I got to have people be doing it for themselves. And I'll be there to guide them through that process. But there's abundance of resources that we can help bust through, break through, and transform, those stories, those limitations, whatever is the silent but deadly, killer in your business, that when it comes to your mindset, it will be transformed. Really powerful, remarkable stuff. So I'm going to invite you to come and join us for that 6-week intensive that will be taking place. And yes, I look forward to connecting. So again, don't hide your the away from it, because what I have found is so many businesses that are not challenging themselves, that are not allowing themselves to understand the personal development side of business. Those are the businesses that go out of business. Those are the businesses that don't make it past the 5-year mark. Those are the businesses that struggle and struggle and struggle. So there is an easier way, and I invite you to take a look at that, whether that's with me or with anyone else. But take a look at that, because I know that if you're pursuing some sort of entrepreneur, or if you're on this entrepreneurial business ownership path, you have been chosen. I truly believe it, because not many people want to sign up for this. But you've really been chosen to share your gifts in a larger capacity. And I think one of my greatest joys that brings me the greatest joy is really helping people see their dream come true, but also the impact that it has, and the impact that it has, and the impact that it has. And I truly believe that when we join forces and connect and support each other in this growth, that the planet will one day rise again in all of its glory. And I am getting soaked. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna move over. And together, I truly believe that this is where we get to start to play on everybody else's strengths, ourselves included, and really start to bond together and really change the world in this really powerful way. So cannot wait to connect. Reach out. Let's connect. Oh my goodness. The sprinklers have come on, and I think I'm a little too close for comfort. All right, big hugs to all of you. Have an incredible week. I hope that you look for the miracles in your week. Miracles are happening every day, and just be an allowance of those miracles. It's such a game changer. And as always, be bold, be brave, be fearless, be the magic of you. Massive love to all of you, and we'll see you on next week. I will be coming to you live from Dallas, so check us out. I will be the one that is sweating profusely in the humidity, but I will be live in Dallas next week, so I can't wait to see you and join you from there. Big hugs, and we'll see you next time.